This is Lori Vallow Daybell by Karina Guerra for Criminal Law with Professor Edward Martinez. Lori Vallow Daybell, born as Lori Noreen Cox, is a 48-year-old woman born on June 26, 1973 in San Bernardino, California. In 1992, Lori married Nelson Yanes, her high school sweetheart. She was 19 years old. There is no specific date listed for their divorce, but their marriage did not last very long. In 1995, Lori married William Lagoya. 1 year later, they had a son who they named Colby. Their marriage ended in divorce in 1998 after 3 years. She remained unmarried for another 3 years until she eloped with Joseph Anthony Ryan Jr. Ryan legally adopted Colby as his own son. In 2002, they had their first and only biological child, Tylee Ryan. Ryan filed for divorce after 3 years of marriage, and it was finalized in 2005. 2 years later, Lori's brother, Alexander Cox, attacked Ryan because Lori had accused him of being abusive towards herself and her children. In 2006, Lori entered a marriage with her third husband, Leland Charles Anthony Vallow. 7 years later, they adopted Joshua Jackson, J.J. Vallow. J.J. was Vallow's grandnephew. During Lori and Charles Vallow's marriage, Lori had met Chad Daybell, who claimed that they had been married in several other lifetimes. Lori began to follow Daybell's beliefs, fascinated by his faith and enamored that he followed her same religion. In 2019, she told Vallow that he and JJ meant nothing to her anymore. She then disappeared for 58 days. Vallow filed for divorce, but after 1 month he decided that he wanted to try to make things work. Similarly to what happened to Ryan, Alex Cox showed up at Vallow's doorstep and threatened him because of allegations of abuse. In this case, however, Cox shot and murdered Vallow. 3 months later, Daybell's wife died, and 3 months after that, Alex Cox passed away as well. Lori and Chad Daybell wed in November of 2019, only 2 weeks after Daybell's wife had died, and a few months after Vallow was deceased. Following their ceremony in Hawaii, the Daybells started telling friends and family members that Lori's daughter, Tylee, had actually died in 2017 and insisted that she had no children under the age of 18. This was concerning to the children's grandparents, and they involved the police, asking them to conduct a welfare check on JJ. Lori stated that he was in Arizona and staying with family. The next day, the police and Federal Bureau of Investigation returned to the house. They had already packed and fled. Both pairs of grandparents knew that the Daybell couple had to have something to do with the disappearances of the children and offered a ransom for them to return them. Lori Vallow Daybell was charged with conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, and grand theft by deception of deaths. She had received $1,000 as a Social Security survivor for the care of her 2 children, Tylee Ryan and J.J. Vallow. She was originally charged with 2 felonies and 3 misdemeanors. As defined by Lexico, a felony is a crime, typically one involving violence, regarded as more serious than a misdemeanor and usually punishable by imprisonment for more than 1 year or by death, and a misdemeanor is a minor wrongdoing. Her 2 felony counts were desertion and non-support of dependent children, and her 3 misdemeanor charges were resisting or obstructing officers, criminal solicitation to commit a crime, and contempt of court. Her 2 felony counts were later dropped, and eventually she faced her newest charges. On July 1, 2021, the Chandler Police Department released its probable cause statement. In February of 2019, Lori had threatened to murder Charles if he had stepped between her and her religious beliefs of the Second Coming. In July of 2019, Alex Cox shot Charles Vallow dead. He waited 43 minutes before calling 911, first making a call to Lori, who had left the house. Alex did not make any effort to help Vallow, even while the 911 operator was walking him through CPR precautions. September of 2019 was the last time that Tylee and JJ were seen. Later in the month, Lori had told JJ's school that he will no longer be in attendance because he was going to be homeschooled. Lori had rented a storage unit a week later. When it was searched, they found that most of the items in there belonged to Tylee and JJ. Video surveillance shows Alex and Lori moving the children's belongings in and out of the storage unit. In June of 2020, the police department found Tylee and JJ's bodies on the property of Chad Daybell. Lori Vallow Daybell pleaded not guilty to these charges, but she was ruled unfit and incompetent to stand trial. These rulings were based on a psychological assessment that she had in March of 2021. Judge Stephen Boyce stated, "The completed assessment determined that at this time the defendant is not competent to proceed and recommends restorative treatment."